Super Mario 64, the game where we jump into paintings and somehow magically end up in places with different lands, environments, and most importantly, climates. Today, I'm diving into Mario 64 and seeing what sort of climates each world has. This might be a bit more complicated than normal, given that some of these worlds are a tad unrealistic to occur on Earth, but that hasn't stopped me before. Let's jump right in. How do we want to tackle this? Well, we gotta start at the very beginning, of course, to Bomb on Battlefield! Okay, wait a minute, that's not how I do things around here. I have to go in climate order, not world order. If I went in world order, the list would be all over the place. Alright, let's try this again. Climate classifications are determined based on an area's annual temperature and precipitation value. In general, we break this down into 5 main categories, then into subcategories from there. The 5 main categories are A, B, C, D, and E. Very cleverly named, as you can see, but sometimes we don't need clever names, we just need something straightforward. Let's see what we can do with it. Type A climates are typically our tropical climates, with average monthly temperatures being greater than 64 degrees Fahrenheit, or 18 degrees Celsius if you're literally anywhere else besides the United States. What does this mean for our worlds in Mario 64? We can't exactly measure temperature of these places. I wish we could, but we can't. But if we look at the surrounding landscapes and terrain, we may be able to draw some conclusions. The subcategories come in for this climate type in regards to precipitation. Depending on how much precipitation there is in an A climate, this is going to affect the subcategory. Let's start off generally. I think our A-type climates here are, hang on, let me take a closer look. Well, when we think of a tropical climate, we're usually looking at an area that are rainforests and general areas that get a lot of rain during the year. Problem: it doesn't exactly rain in any of the worlds. Now, we can see evidence of precipitation occurring at least sometimes in these places. Grass can't be green without the rain, after all, but the rainforest aspect, there aren't any to be found. Based on pure conjecture, I think the closest thing that we may have to an A climate are the following courses: Hazy Maze Cave, Jolly Roger Bay, Dire Docks, and Wet Dry World. I could see these places maintaining a warm average temperature and having some precipitation. Okay, well, most of them could. I'm not too sure about Hazy Maze Cave, given that it's seemingly, well, in a cave. Doesn't exactly rain in caves last I checked. However, I suspect this could still be an A climate given the amount of moss, or what I suspect is moss here. Moss tends to grow in dark, damp places, favoring compacted, poorly drained soils that are high in acidity. Caves aren't exactly known for sunlight. Rainforests also have ample amounts of moss due to high moisture and trees providing plenty of shade for moss to grow. Given the sheer amount of moss here, not to mention how damp this place generally feels, that's why I classify Hazy Maze Cave as an A climate alongside the others. Am I satisfied with that answer? Of course not! These areas decidedly need a good subcategory within A. Hazy Maze Cave could be the inside of a rainforest climate, and if it is, it would likely receive more than 2.36 inches of rain per month throughout the entire year. 60 millimeters if you're, again, literally anywhere else in the world. Now this would make this world an AF climate if this is true. If I suspected Jolly Roger Bay, Dire Docks, and Wet Dry World would experience the same amount of rain per month, I would label them the same. But I don't. Here's why. Jolly Roger Bay has something that deters me from giving it this classification. A beach. No, I'm not kidding. You know what beaches have? Sand. You know what climate classifications have a lot of tropical islands that sandy beaches have? Some have AF climates, but others are classified as AM, which is used when there's a pronounced wet season, but at least 1 month has less than 2.36 inches of rain. I think Jolly Roger Bay is likely to have at least 1 month where this bluish sand gets to be drier than other months. Hence, I'm classifying the bay as AM. While Dire Docks and Wet Dry World don't have a beach, they do seem to be in areas connected to an indoor area. Now, I believe that these areas have to receive some sort of maintenance or else you wouldn't be able to get around them very easily. However, not everyone has the steel lungs of Mario and can breathe forever. Someone must be able to get to the multiple areas in Dire Docks and Wet Dry World to maintain them. This means the water level likely has to drop at some point in both courses. As a result, I'm going to classify them as AM. Type B climates are commonly associated with deserts and steppes. To be classified as a Type B climate, all we need is for evaporation to exceed precipitation. This leads to many Type B climates having some plant life, but not a ton. Many Type B climates are made of rocks or have savanna-like plains. Some worlds that will likely be B climates based on this criterion alone are Womp's Fortress, Shifting Sandland, Tall Mountain, maybe Lethal Lava Land, and maybe Rainbow Ride. Now, I say maybe for Rainbow Ride because it is very high up in the sky. Technically, above surface level courses are unable to be classified in this manner. But Mario doesn't care about logic, so I don't have to either. Okay, actually, I just wanted to give myself a fun challenge, don't let me fool you. Since it's not in outer space, I can at least attempt to classify Rainbow Ride. As for Lethal Lava Land, have you looked at this place? It's literal lava. I'd be surprised if this place had any precipitation, but I'll make an argument that it has little to none. Anyways, it likely doesn't rain all that much in these courses, hence the classification of B. But what type of B climates are we dealing with? The obvious classification I could give something here is Lethal Lava Land and Shifting Sandland. Shifting Sandland has the climate of a typical desert, which we have several examples of on Earth that I can use to make an accurate determination. As for Lethal Lava Land, while nowhere on Earth is quite like it, I'd wager that it doesn't get as much precipitation, and it has an average temperature above 64 degrees Fahrenheit, similar to Shifting Sandland. Given this, I'd classify both of these worlds as BWH climates. What about the rest of the worlds I think are B climates though? These are likely steppes rather than deserts due to a distinct lack of sand, but plant life being possible in places like Womp's Fortress and Tall Mountain. I'd argue that these worlds, being higher up in the sky, all likely fall into BSK climates rather than BSH. I don't see any of these places exceeding an average annual temperature of 64 degrees. Womp's Fortress, given its status as a floating island, is higher up in the sky and likely can't even hit 64 degrees sometimes, let alone have a temperature average greater than that. The same goes for Rainbow Ride. Tall Mountain, it's a similar story. Not only is it high up in the sky, no, really, where do these mushroom stems even end? But it's also a tall mountain, as the name implies. I really don't see the annual temperature getting above 64 here either, so I'm sticking with BSK. Type C climates are a bit complicated. There are two central groups, CF and CS. CF climates typically have no dry season, with generally mild conditions throughout the year, with the summer season either being warmer or cooler depending on the location. For CS climates, they tend to be mild, but have a defined dry season, with summers being warmer or cooler depending on the location. I'd say our Type C climates are Big Boo's Haunt and Tiny Huge Island. You might be thinking I'm nuts for saying Big Boo's Haunt. It's literally in a cage in the castle garden. But that's exactly why it's a cage in the castle garden. Technically, this qualifies as outside, so I could give it a classification. As for precipitation, I don't really see these areas having a dry season, so I'd say they're CF at bare minimum. I think both places likely have average temperatures below 72 degrees overall, but I can at least see 4 months with an average temperature above 50 degrees, or 10 degrees Celsius if you're, again, literally anywhere else. Given this, I think both worlds would be CFB climates. Alright, Type D climates are up next. I'm thinking that Bob-omb Battlefield, Cool Mountain, and Snowman's Land would be D climates, but I wouldn't say they're all the same D climate. Bob-omb Battlefield would likely be a humid climate with a ridiculously hot summer. That sort of climate is DFA for sure. Now I look at Cool Mountain and Snowman's Land, and given the amount of snow, not to mention cold water that exists in both courses, however brief it may be, I think that these places are facing a severe winter without a dry season and a relatively cool summer. That would make these two courses a DFC climate. Generally, I suspect these two courses are going to be snow-laden most of the year, and when they're not, it's still going to be relatively cool, unlike Bob-omb Battlefield, which, as we see, doesn't have any snow at all. Now, I don't suspect any courses are Type E climates. Why? Usually when you're talking about a Type E climate, you're talking about something polar. Bit of a problem, I don't really see a polar climate in the truest extent here. I don't see places with ice sheets, for example. I see courses with snow, I see courses with some ice, I see courses with cold water, but I don't see anything with a polar ice cap sort of situation. This wouldn't be like, say, Sky High Sundae from Mario Kart, where that place is literally ice cream and needs to be below freezing all the time in order for it to exist at all. We would need to be talking about something at like the very North Pole, or pretty close to it, the Arctic Circle area of Earth, or something that was like Antarctica. I don't know about you all, but I don't see these courses being the same as those locations. I just don't. Now, I haven't classified the Bowser courses in this video. You might be questioning why not. Well, can we be honest, those courses are Bowser's own design. I don't exactly think he had climate classifications in mind. They seem to be taking place in completely different areas than the rest of the courses in Peach's Castle. The rest of the courses are based on paintings. Bowser just creates these out of, something? I fully don't know how he creates them. I don't believe that they would fall into any climate classification as a result. You might be noticing though, I neglected not only a lot of the secret courses for similar reasons, most of them aren't outdoors, or most of them are really high up in the sky, but I also didn't talk about tick-tock clock. If you didn't realize it, tick-tock clock is quite literally a clock. I'm not someone that deals with the clock's inner mechanisms on the regular. I've only repaired some watch pans, but I don't think we're getting any weather conditions inside a clock. I can't exactly give it a climate classification. I could try, but that would be disingenuous, so I'll refrain from doing it for now. Wow, okay, that was a lot of worlds, but it's cool to think about what kinds of climates exist in this game. I wonder what game I should look over next. Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. I have more on the docket that I can't wait to share with you. I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day, everybody.